Hey guys, Eric here, and welcome to episode 2 of the Wild Love Comics Awards for 2013, in which we are talking about best web content of this year. There won't be a most anticipated just because I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head, and even looking usually I post links to stuff on either my Facebook or my Google Plus or Twitter on stuff that I've been checking out through the year, so usually you can follow it there. But to go on a brighter note, we're gonna jump right in because, like I said, that won't be most anticipated because I just can't think of anything, which is kind of bumming me out. But I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that'll come throughout 2014 that I'm sure I'm looking forward to that I just can't think of at the moment. But we're going to start with best podcasts, and that is something I will be returning in 2014 that I'm very excited for, and that is Harmontown. For those that don't know, Harmontown is Dan Harmon's awesome, hilarious, just absurd podcast in which basically 2 hour show. They play D&D at the end, have some very interesting conversations throughout the show, and just it's a bunch of comedians basically shooting the shit, and it's a very 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 good podcast that I heavily enjoy. And I mean they have guests every once in a while. Camille Nanjiani is on there all the time. Uh, Dan, since it's his show, it hosts the show, and his girlfriend and just their friend Jeff is the comptroller, and Wade's in the background meowing. And it's just a very fun podcast, and it's actually the only podcast on my best podcast list because other podcasts that I would talk about have been on previous Wild of Comics, and I try not to repeat over the years, which makes originally writing the Wild of Comics awards very difficult, and now it has also made recording and writing down my list kind of difficult, not repeating myself because there's good stuff that stays consistently awesome every year. But moving on is web series, and this one first is actually Gerard Khalil and Greg, the Completionist on YouTube. For those that don't know, the Completionist, his show, Gerard's show, is basically they complete games. He's known as a completionist because he completes games, and that's half of the fun of his show. Is each episode is basically full on a review where they talk about everything from Spyro to Diablo 2 was the last episode to top 10 lists to tiny brains to just a whole bunch of different stuff. And I mean, they put so much work into it's a weekly show, and they put so much work into the show that it shows. They do a sequels month, crossover month, just so much different stuff. They do defend it and pick different games to defend versus the internet, who is played in a very fun way by one of their friends. And there's so much good stuff about the content that Gerard puts out, and I will obviously link down below. But I mean, The Completionist is a fantastic web series that I can't recommend any higher, especially if you're a gamer who has completed some of the games that they talk about or not completed some of the games, because one of the other awesome things about the Completionist is that they do annotations on the episode. So if they're going into spoiler territory, especially about the ending, you can just skip past that to see the rest of Gerard's review, and you don't have to have it spoiled for yourself if you've never played that game and want to go back and check it out more. And I think that's absolutely fantastic, and they should be applauded for that. I mean, they give back so much to the fan base, and just they have a second channel, which is a lot of let's play stuff that actually includes facts about the games they're playing and just interesting information and behind the scenes stuff. And I cannot say enough positive things. Gerard and Greg are just absolutely great, funny guys who manage to present the information that they present in fun and interesting ways that leaves you wanting to watch more. And I mean, they have 80 plus episodes on their channel now, so it's well worth checking out if you never checked it out before. And like I said, they're fantastic guys, and just I cannot say enough positive things about about The Completionist. It is a fantastic review show that I cannot recommend any higher. And speaking of review shows, the other best web series of the year is easily another friend that I made over the last year, the Blockbuster Buster, Erod, Eric Rodriguez, who the Blockbuster Buster, for those that don't know, is a fantastic reviewer for that guy with the glasses.com. He also has a YouTube channel that he puts out some stuff on every once in a while, but he's pretty consistent on his YouTube channel. But he's a reviewer for, like I said, that guy with the glasses.com. He had a fantastic crossover with Linkara last year. This year, since we're talking 2013, that I cannot recommend any higher. He just finished, as of recording this, he just finished his DC December. Is that what you were calling it, Erod? You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think it was DC December is how you say it, and it was just DC December. One of those. It was just, he does honest reviews. He does reviews in character as a Blockbuster Buster who has mystical, cool powers, just like comic book me. Basically, can get his hands on things and use them to help him. He has a hammer hammer and a gun that help him solve issues with certain movies that they take on, because with the name The Blockbuster Buster, he takes on the blockbusters. Everything from Transformers to the G.I. Joe movies to Twilight to so many different things. And that was actually one of the best things about his October content, is he ended the month taking apart the last Breaking Dawn movie and comes face to face with the author herself, and I will not spoil what happens, but it's very fun stuff, and I cannot recommend the Blockbuster higher. His content is grade A material, and his effects by sorry, I'm almost dropping his effects. I had to move my camera for a second. His effects by Studio 316 Productions is absolutely fantastic stuff, and I even had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Effect, his effects guy slash weapons expert. I had the pleasure of meeting him at Rhode Island Comic Con this year, and he's a super nice, awesome guy, and I cannot say enough positive things about the content that they produce, and I just highly recommend it. Like I said, it'll be in the description below to check out the Blockbuster Buster. So without further ado, and before I keep yammering on, I want to talk about the best live shows, and that is also a tie, and that is a tie between Address Success, which is Rev3 Gaming's live show with Adam Sessler, and they usually do about an hour and a half. And actually, I would highly recommend one of their recent episodes where they had Fraser from Video Games Awesome, and Total Biscuit, and a couple other YouTubers, as well as press people, talking about the current issues with YouTube copyright that have been happening the last couple months, and just I cannot recommend Address Success any higher, especially if you are a fan of Adam Sessler, because you kind of get that one-on-one intimate setting with some very fantastic conversations about what's going on with the state of gaming, and it's fantastic stuff. And speaking of Total Biscuit, the other one would be the Co-optional Podcast, which is also video on demand via the Polaris YouTube network, and it's like a 3-hour show for the most part, and they also sometimes talk about gaming, as Total Biscuit himself will say on the show, and it's him, Jesse Cox, and Dodger, and the three of them have a revolving fourth co-host slash guest who, depending on who it is, brings a lot to the show. Raul Crandor seems to be the most recurring one, who works with Jesse, and it works with all three of them actually a lot, and it's a very fun show that I cannot recommend any higher. I put it on Best Live Show because it's recorded live, and then they put the live stream up to watch on Polaris every Friday, and I would highly recommend seeking that out. And we move on to Best Documentary. I wanted to give it to Image Revolution, but I haven't watched it yet, and technically it doesn't come out until January. I pre-ordered, so I have it I have it on my computer, and I cannot wait to sit down and watch it. And I will do a full review after I finally watch it, just to help promote that. But I actually gave it to For All Mankind, the Mick Foley documentary that the WWE released halfway through the year. And it's an absolutely fantastic documentary, even if you're a very loose fan of Mick's work in general. And I mean, he's a New York Times bestselling author, he's a fantastic wrestler, he's a WWE legend, and I mean, he's done everything for his career. And I mean, it's interesting to see just what he's doing now, because he's writing the WWE comic, which is fantastic. Well, its first issue is fantastic, and I can't wait to read more. And it's just, I cannot say enough positive things about this documentary. And I think it's like 2.5, 3 hours long, and it covers a lot of ground and gives you a lot of insight to Mick and his career. And it's just a fantastic documentary. Best gaming coverage. I almost didn't include it, but the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to include it. Fraser Agar of Video Games Awesome, he's done some fantastic work this year, from whether it be his vlogs to his in-depth vlogs about the stuff they cover on their live show, which they did the PS4 and the Xbox One coverage this year, which was absolutely fantastic. But then he vlogged about what was going on with the YouTube copyright stuff. He vlogged about his first impressions on like Dead Rising 3 and that kind of stuff, and just all the content they've done. They did a whole bunch of stuff from interviews and stuff from PAX Prime, and just I cannot say enough positive things, because Fraser just pours his heart and soul into that show, and you can tell just watching the stuff they put up. I mean, it's a fantastic interview that they put up with the translator slash writer of Earthbound over here, when they brought it over here. You know, when we were back in the 90s, as well as brought it over here earlier this year, which was awesome. But you watch their Earthbound episode, and you can see Fraser kind of get really excited when he finds that out, and just it's Marcus is the guy's name, and it's really fun, kind of cute stuff. And I mean, Fraser, like I said, he pours his heart and soul into the show, and is always honest with us as an audience, the people watching it, and I cannot say enough positive things, and I highly recommend it. And speaking of guys who are always honest and open and awesome when it comes to their audience, Angry Joe, his content this year, his reviews, everything that he did, and sadly he's dealing with some crap from YouTube that it really shouldn't be dealing with at the moment. But his reviews of everything from Saints Row 4 to, he just did a review of a iOS Star Trek game that I would highly recommend looking at, just to see just how much he doesn't bullshit his audience. I mean, he even did a VGX vlog where he legitimately wanted to help Jeff Keighley improve the show, and just show that, like, even if people have had problems in the past, just having that heart and kind of wanting to help improve something. And his reviews are 100% honest and are his opinions, and just seeing that stuff is just awesome. And Angry Joe is just beyond cool. Best innovation, I would actually give this year to Sneaky Zebra, who, for those that don't know, Sneaky Zebra is an awesome YouTube channel, just like Beatdown Boogie, who do, for the most part, cosplay videos, and have done some original stuff over the last year, and they're doing more original stuff that they've teased for 2014, which I'm really excited about. But all their content and videos are fantastic, high quality stuff. Even like they do all these cool effects for the cosplay videos that make the cosplayers look 10 times cooler than what they originally did, even if their costume or whatever already looked amazing. They work with the Nerdist team, and it's just awesome stuff. Everything that they're doing is beyond cool. They work with Mark Meir, Commander Shepard himself, and just, I cannot say enough positive things. They deserve more attention. I feel like they don't get enough attention, even though their channel is like growing exponentially. And then best video of the year, and this one is only about a month old now, maybe a month and a half. I would give it to I would actually give it to The Daily Show for Batman vs Superman. The Daily Show, for those that don't know, is a YouTube show by Tim Daly, who is the voice of Superman from the 90s, and faces off with Batman, Kevin Conroy in that while his son Sam Daly has to, who's now a voice of Superman as well, now has to deal with the two of them going head to head, and it's just really, really funny stuff that I cannot recommend any higher. Like I said, the links to everything I'm mentioning will be in the description down below, so definitely go check it out. But that is definitely my video of the year, just because of how funny it is, and sadly, it doesn't look like the Batman vs Superman movie will be anything like that, but still, really funny stuff that they did, and you can tell that they both come from the background that they come from. And now for the best one, which I am actually giving to someone else that I've actually had the pleasure of getting to know a little this year, and it's underrated, and underrated is just something I think is highly overlooked, and people don't give it the attention that I think it deserves, and that would be my buddy Jason Inman, Jwin, his YouTube channel, which is called Jwin, 2 I's, JAWIIN, and this year alone, they've done, he just actually finished up his best comic book series, best comic book writers, and best comic book artists, and he always responds to the comments that people leave on his videos, and just so much good content that he puts out. He does like top lists all the time of like the comics that he's reading, does DC and Marvel for the stuff that he's reading. This year he's teamed up with Scott Lobdell on some very funny, very fantastic videos where they invade different conventions, and just really funny stuff when they do that. His comic reviews are always funny. Basically, all the videos he does. He did a Breaking Bad tour, which is fantastic. He does opinion videos like maybe Ben Affleck as Batman will be awesome. Mighty Avengers #1. He did a Wendigo song, as well as What the Wolverine Say, which is a Yobis What the Fox Say parody. Just so much different stuff. The Origin of Thor. I'm looking through History of Doctor Who all in one take, which is fantastic, and I cannot say enough positive things. Jason is a fantastic and really nice guy. I've had the pleasure of getting to know him this year, and I think his channel definitely deserves more views. And the other one I actually want to talk about real fast is just But I'm Chris Jericho, which is Chris Jericho's web series that I think was overlooked a lot, and it's very funny, off the cuff. It seems like they did a lot of improv. Seems like Chris just came up with overall plots, and then they just went from there. He worked with classic Kids in the Hall, worked with other people, and just I cannot say enough positive things about it. I think it's a really fun web series that definitely I hope gets a season 2, because I liked the first season a lot and was really interested when it finally came out, and it's awesome stuff. And yeah, that's it for this one, guys. If you're interested, like I said, the links to everything will be in the description bar down below. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave some comments. I always respond to comments, and I will see you guys in part 3 as we talk about video games. I don't know why I did that voice. That was a very weird voice. Okay, guys, I'll see you in part 3.